Hello, and welcome to a video that's been a long time in coming. I feel like this is a necessity for any person talking about books, and that's showing you a bookshelf tour. The reason I've never done a bookshelf tour is because I have ugly books. I have an ugly way of keeping books. I'm an ugly person both inside and out. And that reflects in how I keep things. But I pretty much have all of my books on display now. Before, I was double stacking all over the place. It was crazy. I have a bookcase downstairs that I now put stuff in as well that we'll see later. So, what we're going to do today is, I'm just going to show you what I have. And then, preferably, if you could let me know books that you think I would be interested in. I'm going to kind of point out ones that I've read so then you're aware. But otherwise, be like, you should get to this closer than you're thinking of doing, because it'd be a massive help. Because right now I have finished two amazing trilogies in the Live Ship Traders and the Greenpoint Saga, and I'm feeling a little lost. I don't really have many trilogies on hand to kind of dig through that I'm desperate to get at, and I also have long series that I am at the first half to halfway through that I'm not going to finish anything for a long time, and for that reason having existential dread about being in limbo. So help is needed. Nevertheless, we're going to go through, here are all my books, here is how I live my life. Now, I have not decided how I'm going to do this yet, but I think I'm going to do it like this, and by that I mean one shelf at a time. Let's have a gander. On top, I just have graphic novels. You can have a look there. I haven't read a graphic novel in a while. So we have Brandon Sanderson. It really speaks for itself. I had to get the new hardback of The Way of Kings, so now it fits everything that I own. Pretty much everything here is just when it comes out, I just pick it up. A lot of it's like my brother. Like this is a family edition of The Final Empire, and as you can see, our dog chewed it when I was a kid, and I love this copy. It's really difficult to read because the pages catch, but just from a family perspective, I can't put the fucking thing back in. Okay, this is going to be more difficult than I anticipated. But yeah, from a family perspective, that one holds a place in my heart. Otherwise, I have now read, the only thing I need to read on this shelf is The Bands of Mourning, Arcanum Unbounded, and Dawn Shard. Otherwise, I am all caught up on the Cosmere. Next shelf. This is my little two authors colliding. It's the Grim Dark shelf. It is Joe Abercrombie. And I mean, the only book I'm missing from Joe Abercrombie is Sharp Ends from the First Laws universe. Otherwise, it's all there. Absolutely incredible. I'm now finished up until The Age of Madness, which is the little hatred and everything you can see there. I do have to admit, I prefer... So I was never a big fan of these kind of covers. They're just not for me. There's a fucking fly. I got rid of the fly in a peaceful manner. No killing of animals here. Nevertheless, yeah, I much prefer these A Little Hatred, like the Age of Madness kind of covers. Because, I don't know, I've never been a biggest fan of these. I think they're kind of, not ugly, they're just not my favourites. I don't know, there's just something about this. I mean, the stickers on, that's not exactly the best thing in the world. Very much looking to forward to the Age of Madness. Then we move on to the absolute chonkers that are Malazan. Now, I am going to give my spiel here. Memories of Ice is not there because I'm reading it currently. I'm going to give my spiel. Mostly this video is about why you should buy second-hand books, because it saves so much money. And so these are all I bought fresh. Like these are new. All of these are new as well, because some you just can't get lucky and find. However, Malazan, especially in America, I see Malazan books quite a lot when I've been to Canada. We've always seen a few. And so, I have found all of these from charity shops. So we're talking 50 pence, a pound for another one. These are all 50 pence to a pound for such massive books. I think you can see there's a pound, it says. And for the quality and everything, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I love this series, and because Stephen Erickson is a living author, I want to give the money to him, if you get what I mean. So in the future, I will be buying, probably through Broken Binding, the rest of the series. But when I have a chance to pick it up, I always have to pick up these secondhand editions, because you have to. There's a living crisis going on right now, a cost of living crisis. Man's got to read, man's got to do it at an affordable cost. Then we go down to my Stephen King, one of my Stephen King shelves. These are editions that the Dark Tower is. I picked all those up from charity shops last year. Apart from the Wind Through the Keyhole, everything else on that shelf other than Dark Tower is gifted from my dad, because my dad is a massive Stephen King fan. So he had spare copies, and I'm going to show you the rest of the spare copies that this man has that I've taken. So thank you, Dad, for Stephen King books. Stephen King is someone I need to keep reading. I've taken a bit of a break from him, quite a bit. I think the Dark Tower right now is a kind of soft DNF that I'll possibly come back to, because whilst I love the series, it's just very big, and I'm in a lot of big series right now. And then finally on this bookcase, which I don't think you've ever seen this one because it's hidden away down the bottom, we have the Discworld Shelf. Now this just makes me happy. Once again, all of these other than Small Gods, Mort, and the Reaper Man are all from charity shops. That's probably a British thing. They're very common in Britain. Also, I didn't show... This copy of Carrie is gorgeous. Look how cool this is. I do love that. But yeah, so I have a hardback edition of Going Postal, which is one of my favourite Terry Pratchett books. Everyone should read Going Postal. This is from a charity shop. You can see where there's a sticker and stuff on it. It's pretty ratty. We've got this lovely edition of Mort. Mort's not my favourite, I have to admit. I don't think the Death series is my favourite, but it's still lovely. And then, what's a good one? I mean, Guards. Look at that. I love these books. If I could own every single one in these editions, I would. They make me feel all kinds of things inside. And they're all so gorgeous. Like, I'm just going to pick up... I don't even know what this one looks like. I mean, it's got a sticker on it, but they're just so cool. They're just very cool. And so, as you probably know, if you've been watching the channel, I am reading the City Watch series with Grace at the moment. We just read The Fifth Elephant, and we're moving on to Night Watch. And on the Discord, because this will be going up before that happens, we are doing a read-along of Going Postal. So if you do want to join that, feel free. Going Postal is a great place to start with Discworld, in my opinion. It's where I started. I fell in love with it instantaneously. So if you want to, links in the description. So this bookcase is where we just get a bit mucky, you know. It's not the best looking bookcase you've ever seen in the world. But it's what I have. Whoa, look at the wires. Now, this is where we hit, Ben, you need to read more. So what we've got here is Xenos. My housemates are big fans of Warhammer, and as a result, I've read one Warhammer book, and Xenos, I have to admit, has been really tempting me recently. Age of Ash was a gift from Library of a Viking, which is an absolutely stunning book, and I have read that. There's a review on the channel. Long Price Quartet was a very lucky find. It's all 4 in 1. 100% recommend Long Price Quartet. It's the best. Then we kind of get to see Ben's addiction to secondhand bookstores. This hardback of Dirk Gently was I think, yeah, £1 for a nice hardback. You can't argue with it. I have 2 Maya Angelou that I have not read yet. Letters to My Daughter and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Really want to get to that soon. Once again, both from charity stores. Hitchhiker's Guide, I have read the first one, don't remember it. I think I didn't even finish the first one because it's when I first started reading again and I'm just a bit lazy. The Bread the Devil Need is one I definitely want to read soon. These are also charity shops, Foundation and The Complete Robot. Emma, charity shop. Pride and Prejudice, charity shop. All of these were gifted from my great aunt. This is like this edition of Persuasion and this edition of Northanger Abbey. So of the ones I haven't read, I have not read Emma Mansfield Park's Sense and Sensibility or Lady Susan / the Watsons / Sanderson. So if you have any there that you've read that you're like, oh, this is the one you should read next from Austen, please let me know that. Richard Ayoade's Ayoade on Top is a classic. It is a story of, it's a fake essay where he pretends that A View from the Top starring Gwyneth Paltrow is the greatest film ever made, and it is an essay describing why that is the case. It's so funny. Richard Ayoade is incredible. I read this probably 2 years ago now, and I do plan on rereading it because, it's fantastic. Have not started the Books of Babel yet, purely because I saw quite a lot of negative things about the last book in the series, and that scares me to the core. Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, absolute legend. Love watching his shows, but this book is also fantastic. It's, I don't know, for someone who's worked in the service industry, someone who's worked in a kitchen, someone who's worked in front of house on a bar, there's a lot to laugh at, a lot to take away, and would 100% recommend for those that aren't even in that industry. God, this is a high bookshelf, you know. My neck's aching. Ray Bradbury, I've read Fahrenheit 451, really enjoyed Fahrenheit 451. Do plan on continuing. I think the next one by him I'll read is Something Wicked This Way Comes, but I don't own that yet. Naked Lunch is one I definitely want to read. I got this because of Anthony Bourdain. In an episode about Morocco, he talks about this book, and it is one that I have wanted to read for a while because of that. Even though it's meant to be super fucked up, I will warn you, meant to be very fucked up. One of my favourite books ever is Exhalation by Ted Zhang. Anything Ted Zhang does, I will be interested in. Science fiction short stories that just slap. Piranesi, I got this gorgeous copy from Saltburn, near where my parents live. It was a nice hardback. It was after the hardbacks had stopped coming out, so I was very lucky to find it. And for a very short book, I know Kieran doesn't like it, but you know, not everyone can have great taste. Piranesi's fantastic. It's a weird fantasy about a guy who's just a bit lost. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I think the least you know about it going in, the best it's going to be. The other thing is, don't worry about knowing where everything is. There's a lot of confusing geographical explanations in this book that you don't have to care about, so don't worry. What else is worth talking about here? I think that's pretty much it for this shelf. I have a lot of Dickens. You'll see more Dickens downstairs. Second shelf. This is so much easier on second shelf. My lord. Okay, now we're talking. No stretching anymore. Joan Didion. I don't have my other Joan Didion book here. Oh shit, I'm going to knock everything over. Joan Didion. I have read A Year of Magical Thinking. I really enjoyed that book, and I do plan on reading more Joan Didion. Right now, this is the only one I own from a charity shop, which is A Book of Common Prayer. These are really nice copies of the 4 Sherlock Holmes novels. I do have, you'll see them, I have the other entries as well, the short stories, but they're in like Penguin Classics editions. I have not read any Daphne du Maurier yet, but I got this from a charity shop for £1. Adore it. This is How We Lose the Time War. Everyone should read. It is so fantastic. Really short as well. You can get through it very quickly. Passage to India. This really nice copy I got from my great aunt. You can tell how old it is because it's in fucking shillings and shit. And then from that I also got Howard's End by Ian Forster that I have not read yet. Raymond E. Feist is someone I want to get through soon. And I found this in a charity shop, and I just love covers like this. You know what I mean? We just don't get covers that look this good anymore. And it's wrong, and we should fix that. Then we've got all the Neil Gaiman I own. What have I read here? Neverwhere. I've got 2 copies of Neverwhere because this is a really cool, thin, what's it called? Mass market paperback I got from Canada with Grace. But out of this, what would be the next Neil Gaiman you say I should read? If I have read Neverwhere, I've read Stardust, and I've read Neverwhere again. What would you recommend here? American God scares me because it's so long. Norse mythology seems very interesting, and trigger warning is a series of short stories. So maybe short stories is the way to go. I don't know. We've got the Draenei Saga. These are books that my brother used to own when I was a kid, and I read them as a kid as well and loved them. Just these awesome kind of classic heroic fantasy that really, at that age, captured me. They're not for kids. I just read them as a kid. That's a good thing to specify. The Yellow Wallpaper by what's her name? Charlotte Perkins Gilman is fantastic. It's an amazing book. It's about a woman who is diagnosed as basically depressed, and as a result is diagnosed to sit in a room alone, like just by herself. And so she starts staring at wallpaper and begins to see images and things, and it's an unraveling of a mind, and it's an unraveling of a mind due to the treatment rather than the cause. It's the idea that the treatment is exemplifying, it is building on top of what's already there. Yeah, an absolute classic. There's also a short story in here called An Extinct Angel, which is fantastic in my opinion. And it's this kind of satire poking fun at this idea of a woman being an angel, and then the mistreatment that men then do of their angels, and the idea of owning an angel, etc. Lord of the Flies, I read this in school. I don't remember anything about it other than there's a conch and that it has meanings and that I wrote about it. I remember enjoying it at school, but that's the most I can take away from it. Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, I do plan on reading soonish. Dune, have not read. Leonard and the Hungry Paul, I plan on getting to pretty soon because I loved Panenka. One of my favourite books of the year. By a mile. Loved it. Iliad and the Odyssey, no more needs to be said about that. Then we've got, very cheeky boys, we've got the Robin Hobb collection. Now, right now, I have these 6. I have a plan. So all of these are from charity shops. So I got Assassin's Apprentice in this printing, which is the anniversary printing. And then the rest are in the original, really cool mass market paperbacks. I love them. Like Ship of Destiny. Tell me that is not one of the most gorgeous books you've ever seen in your life. Nevertheless, my plan is now, I'm going to Canada, and when I'm there, I'm going to start Tawny Man. And so my plan is to buy Royal Assassin's Quest online in these original like anniversary editions. So then they're all that, and then I'll give these away. Then these in the original mass markets. Then to get Tawny Man in the mass market paperbacks of Canada and like North America, and then the final one to get in the now UK editions. So then every single trilogy like installment of Realm of the Elderlings I'll have in a different printing, and I think that will just be very, very cool.com. Then we've got Wheel of Time. Who'd have thunk it? I got all of these when in Canada because you can't resist it. This is just a mass market paperback. I actually really like reading mass market paperbacks like this. I think it's incredibly endearing, incredibly fun. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we don't have them here, but they get me giddy. They genuinely make me giddy. Then we've got the wonderful, weird, kind of off illustrations for all of the Wheel of Time. This is fucking, I got this from a charity shop and it's colour marked. But they're just wonderful. They're just gorgeous. They're kind of dumb. I kind of love it. We have the 5th season. This is one of the first books I got from a charity shop. I have not read it yet. I'm a terrible human being for that. But I do plan on reading the 5th season soon. What is it called? The Inheritance Trilogy? Broken Earth Trilogy. I plan on reading that. Han Kang is an incredible writer. Really enjoy reading her books, even though I don't necessarily think they're favourites. Definitely get a lot away from them. Before the Coffee Goes Cold is the same. Not particularly my favourite, but I get a lot from it. Have not read Breasts and Eggs yet, even though I'm very interested in it. If Cats Disappear from the World, love it. I read that in January. Read it in a day, I think. Such a great book. Really hit home with me. Would 100% recommend that. I have a review on that on the channel as well. Then The Poppy War, R.F. Kuang. You know, I soft DNF that back in the day because I was reading Cosmere at the time and I just was stuck in that mode. So I do plan on reading more R.F. Kuang, ready for like, well, I'll probably read Babel first, I won't lie to you. And then I have a copy of Yellowface. I have her literary fiction debut, have that on Kindle, like an arc from NetGalley. So I will be reading R.F. Kuang. Next up, absolute favourite trilogy. One other favourite trilogy. We've got the Greenbone Saga, with it falling the cheeky bugger. Absolutely fantastic. I just read the first book in the Earthsea Quartet or Cycle, whatever it's called. Awesome. Really enjoyed it, and I plan on doing a video about the idea of influence and inspiration, because the work done around, like, yeah, I'm not going to spoil the video, but it is what it is. Andrea Levi, really enjoyed The Long Song. It is this story of a woman in Jamaica. Yeah, it's super dark, funny, heartbreaking. It's everything you want. It's all about this woman and her life during being a slave and then being freed from it, and how that didn't really change much at all. Then we've got Ken Liu, Paper Menagerie. I really need to read Ken Liu. I am a scumbag for not. I'm aware of that. I apologise for everyone in the world. It's just not happened yet. Liza Lockmora, super fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I plan on continuing, but just the idea that the next one hasn't come out yet, like the fourth one, puts me off, I have to admit. 100 Years of Solitude is one I plan on getting to very soon. For someone that loves magical realism, this is a must. I'm aware of that, and I do plan on getting to it. The Crucible, classic, great play, all about witches. The persecution, the idea of othering, etc. is fantastic. Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, and Recitative are incredible masterpiece. The fact that that is a debut novel is outrageous and shouldn't be allowed, honestly, because what's the point of trying if that exists in the world as a first novel? Convenience Store Woman, really enjoyed. I plan on getting to Earthlings relatively soon as well. Then we've got all the Murakami. I have only read, what is it, 2 Murakami. I've read First Person Singular and I have read The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. I loved The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. It stays with me. I cannot stop thinking about even now. First Person Singular, not so much. And so as a result, we've fallen in this little bit of a dry spell, as it were, which when it comes to Murakami, definitely makes sense. My plan is to either go with Kafka on the Shore or Norwegian Wood. They're the two that I'm going between. If you have any thoughts about Murakami, please let me know, because I plan on getting to it. And then everything else there, I mean, I haven't read half of A Yellow Sun. I plan on doing that. I just got it from a charity shop. Animal Farm's classic and The Bell Jar I plan on getting to. Final shelf time. We did it. This is a really difficult one because I'm by my bed and so it keeps on blocking everything. Nevertheless, here we've got Sally Rooney. I own all of Sally Rooney's books and have not read any of them. Have not read the Name of the Wind yet. Have not read any Salman Rushdie. I really want to read Midnight's Children. Catcher in the Rye is a classic. A Midsummer Night's Dream, classic. Frankenstein, banger. Minor Detail is fantastic. I love these editions. East of Eden, I really want to get to because I really enjoy Steinbeck's prose. Dracula, we all know I'm a Mina Harker stan. I fucking love Mina Harker. Books of Jacob is one of the most outrageously... Look, the fact that it's the Lord of the Rings next to it. That is the Lord of the fucking Rings. And Books of Jacob is doing that to it. Jesus. But yeah, these are really nice editions of the Lord of the Rings, as you can see. And also The Hobbit in that edition. My housemate got me these from a charity shop. Just picked them up. They're also gorgeous. I have 3 copies of the Hobbit here. I have this really cool edition that my great aunt owned, which is original artwork by Tolkien, and I think that it's just awesome. I haven't read this edition, and then I also have this edition of the Hobbit as well, which I also think is just super cool. Then we have Annihilation, have not read. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a classic. Brideshead Revisited. What else here is worth talking about? Oh, I really want to read Orlando. Firstly, is an amazing book, an absolute classic. Everyone should read that. It's a queer heaven. And then the other one I want to read is Stoner. I've seen so many people talk about Stoner, and I just found it in a charity shop. And it just sounds like a guy having the world kick the shit out of him in very small ways, and he's just trying to get along. And that is finally, once again, this particular bookshelf. I do love it. I know people are going to be like, oh, it's fucking gross, mate. Like, because I just don't organise things particularly aesthetically. But personally, I kind of just dig it. I dig the massive spaces. I dig the problems, etc. We've got this very cute gift from Grace, which is V cute. Up here is a weird amalgamation because this is the reading list for next year. Ignore this. But this is the reading list for next year at university. I have more that I need to get, but this is to kind of give you an idea. Then I have my Game of Thrones editions here because when I was also in Canada, fuck me, that's tight in. They also had these really nice original paperbacks of them, so I had to pick that up. You know what, I can't be bothered getting it out, but that's a really nice copy of Going Postal in the same vein as Mort that I'm going to read next month, once again, in the Discord. Then, special editions, we have this gorgeous Mistborn and this Folio Society of Dracula. I'm not going to get them out because doing that one-handed and I don't want to fuck them up, but you get the idea. And I also have this, I'll show you this edition of The Hobbit, which is a illustrated edition. And this is the copy I had when I was a kid. I read the first chapter probably countless times, probably like 20 times. Never got further because I was a real just lazy kid. It is what it is. So that's what's up here. So if you ever wonder what's on this shelf in my videos, that's it. So next, we're going to go downstairs for the last bookcase. This has already been a very long recording, but I mean, it's the point we're here. It's why we're here. And then here we are for the downstairs one. So we're going to go through this as well, but this is where I keep books that I don't necessarily think I'm going to read soon, don't have room for, or they're like, oh, I don't exactly want this on the main bookcase because I haven't read it and don't know exactly how I feel about it. It's also a map of Middle-earth, which is my housemates. But nevertheless, let's begin. So, for instance, you'll also see that if I have part of a series that I do not have, like I haven't read, I don't plan on keeping it upstairs. So, for example, I have the first Foundation upstairs, but the next 3 I have downstairs, also all from charity stores. This is the weirdest copy of Handmaid's Tale I've ever seen. I used to think that all those women in red hoods were actually shoulder pads for this fucking dress because I'm a fucking dumbass. Man Called Ove, not the biggest fan. Do plan on continuing though for a particular video that will be on the channel at some point. This is just a random book. This is called Mary Barnes, 2 Accounts of a Journey Through Madness. This is about her experience coming out of it and her therapist's opinion, I believe, which is just kind of weird. Random books I took from my great aunt. Dresden Files, I read the first one, not the biggest fan. A Clockwork Orange, this is an anniversary edition, I believe, 50th anniversary hardback, that's kind of cool. Graceling is one that I've heard a lot about. I don't know where I saw this. Heard someone talk about it, and then my housemate's mum read it and was like, oh, this is really good. Alice in Wonderland, really cool little hardback I got from fucking Aldi of all places. They were selling kids' books, and I was like, don't mind if I do. Don Quixote, too big, never going to read it, probably. Oh, shit. I just realised I'm going to have to blur out these Agatha Christie, because if you didn't know, And Then There Were None had an original title that was not fucking good at all, and I don't think that gets talked about a lot, but that's going to have to be blurred, because that's not good. Shit. Then we've got my other Charles Dickens copies. I don't know where to start. I think I'm going to read Great Expectations at some point. John Donne, Carol Ann Duffy, we've got some poetry, some more Daphne du Maurier, Dorothy Dunnett, because I am a Klaus stan who is probably not going to read them for a long time, but it's nice to own them. Middlemarch is impeccable. There's a reason it's the greatest novel in British history to a lot of people. It's incredible. Faulkner could not get along with. Not the biggest Fitzgerald fan either. Have a review of this. Ken Follett, just a bit too big. Translations was a school thing. Unsettled Ground is one that I do want to read. Epic of Gilgamesh, Daniel Green, because I'm a fucking simp. We've got more Thomas Hardy, 7 Years of Tibet. Catch-22 is one that I want to read at some point. A bit of Hemingway. I've only read Old Man and the Sea because everyone that's read Ernest Hemingway starts with Old Man and the Sea because it's the fucking shortest. What else is here? Illborn. Illborn's one that I was super excited for. I have this, which is the made by Slavic Reader on Instagram, who is a fantastic Instagram page, so check that out. James Joyce, because I'm pretentious. Who can argue with that? And then we come to all the other Stephen King books that my dad owns, that he has spares of, that I now own. That's absurd, right? That can't be a man's spares. First off, why do you need spares of books? That's my question, Dad. Riddle me this. But he did have them, and now they're mine. Franz Kafka, I do plan on reading, Metamorphosis. I have that on Kindle, I believe. Tigana is another book I bought because of Klaus that I have not read yet. To Kill a Mockingbird. No, that's not To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird is one that I need to read. I don't know why I haven't read it. I just haven't. This is my brother's edition, my brother's copy that I own because he moved to Dubai, so he couldn't take his books with him. Elmore Leonard, I have a review from the Man Carrying Thing video. Another Andrea Levi because I enjoyed her first, the other book I read so much. 2 Narnias because I do kind of want to read Narnia at some point. I got this for £1, this gorgeous hardback of No One Is Talking About This, from a charity shop. What else we got? The Road, because Cormac McCarthy's coming back. I need to read that. Paradise Lost is one that I definitely want to read. Jerusalem is one I definitely want to read. It's a chunker, but it's Alan Moore, and I love Alan Moore, and I do want to read that at some point in my life. Hamnet, I also got this from a charity shop. This really nice hardcover of it. Have not read that yet though, but it is what it is. Some more 1984, Clergyman's Daughter, some more George Orwell, Dr. Zhivago. I've got the Gormenghast trilogy. Has anyone read the Gormenghast trilogy and can tell me whether it's good? Because I have these really weird Penguin Modern Classics editions that I got from charity store as well, and I kind of want to read them. Then there's Detransition Baby and also His Dark Materials. Then Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is one that I need to read. Once again, showing that I have more Sally Rooney that I don't have on the shelf. John Ronson is amazing. I've read The Many Spirit Goats, I've read The Psychopath Test, and I've read So You've Been Publicly Shamed. I really enjoy him. The Experience of Depression has one of my favourite chapter titles I've ever read. I have not read this book. I don't plan on reading it. I don't know what it's about, really. But the first chapter title is Mary, a woman who's happily married, has 2 kids, and no longer sees the point of being alive. And if that's not a vibe, I do not know what is. Frankenstein in Baghdad is fantastic. It's a really good retelling. Ariadne, Greek retelling. Disaster Artist is the book that the film Disaster Artist starring James Franco is based on. It's all about the making of The Room, one of the worst films ever made. I've watched that film. I love that film. It's so bad. It's a classic. Comedy of Errors with School, Shelley, we've got another Frankenstein copy. Hyperion is one that I want to read. Station 11 is one I want to read. Army of the Curse was kindly sent to me by the author, and I do have a video planned where I'm going to read 3 different indie published books. Sorrowland by River Solomon is I really want to read The Deep by River Solomon. That's based on it's a novella based on a song written by Clipping, which is one of my favorite bands. So I definitely want to read that. Treasure Island, Dracula, because I love Dracula so much. This is about the kind of weird circumstances around Bram Stoker's letters and the fact that people think that he actually based it on a real life experience, etc. These are books that my brother owns, which everyone talks about. Michael J. Sullivan. I know Patrick's talked about him and everything, and it's definitely one I want to get to. I just haven't yet for some reason. Gulliver's Travels. This is a really cool cover, really cool hardback that I got from a charity shop as well. Battle Royale, which I read because I was a pretentious kid that thought, no, I'm going to read this rather than Hunger Games because it's just ripping it off, as if I didn't already read Lord of the Flies and fucking
like, if you're going to talk about ripping stuff off, then everything's ripped off everything. Strange the Dreamer. I read this because it was recommended by Avery from A Very Avid Reader. Vanity Fair. From the Ashes is because of Grace. I bought this from a charity shop. I think it was £1, 75 pence. The Hate You Give is incredible. The Colour Purple I want to get to. Age of Innocence, yep. Dragonbone Chair, I really want to read this at some point. Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit was also really good. And then also, last book, Gene Wolfe, The Shadow of the Torturer. Really want to read Age of the New Sun, Book of the New Sun at some point. Probably when I finish Malazan, because people say that they are on an equivalency of kind of like what the fuck reading. So, with my legs in between, this is that bookshelf as well. And that's it. Let's go back upstairs. Well, that was a journey. That is all the books I own that I have on display. I own others that I hide. Do you know what? I haven't even shown you this one. Save for the end. I have a copy of From Hell by Alan Moore. I got this from a charity auction at my old workplace when I worked in insurance. I worked in Northampton, and Northampton, for anyone who knows Alan Moore, is where my man lives. He was offered a house in Hollywood, and he went, nah, I'm alright, I'm going to stay in fucking Northampton. And so one of the people I worked with was friends with Alan Moore, and as a result, had a copy made for this that was signed by Alan Moore. So I own a signed book by Alan Moore, which, for, once again, anyone that knows, getting a signature from Alan Moore is very fucking difficult. And so at the time, I got it for less than the actual price of the graphic novel. So it was cheaper for me to get a copy that was From Hell by Alan Moore, signed by the man, than it was just to buy the graphic novel. But that's it. That is the video. They are all the books I own. Tell me what I should read. Was there anything in particular that jumped off the page and you went, oh shit, I've read this. You would love it. If there was, please let me know, because I am gagging for goddamn suggestions right now. I love you all. Thank you very much for sitting through this long video of me indulging myself. Have a nice rest of your day.